guys, it's Carissa, and today we are celebrating National Bird Day, and I'm going to show you how to make a hummingbird feeder out of a wine glass bottle. I'll show you the one that I've done here. It's super cute, and I'm going to tell you, I know it looks difficult, but you can totally do this, and it's not hard. So a couple things we're going to talk about. You need a glass bottle of some sort. Whatever glass bottles you have, it is going to need to be like a regular wine bottle opening. Now this item here that I have that is my hummingbird feeder part, it's got a rubber sealer stopper, it's got the end that they can drink out of, and this end comes out so you can clean it, but this actually has a tiny little metal ball in it so that when the hummingbirds aren't drinking from it, it's not just pouring out. So I got these off of Etsy. I know you can get them from Amazon and a couple other garden places. So you're just looking for wine bottle hummingbird stopper. Okay, so we've got our glass bottle, we've got our hummingbird stopper. You're gonna need some craft wire. I would go with a thicker ply of craft wire. Some painter's tape, we're going to need that later with the craft wire. Some various tools for the craft wire. You're also going to need, I use some Mod Podge and I use some spray enamel. I got this from the Dollar General, so yeah, it's easy to find. A variety of paint colors and some paint brushes. So we're going to go ahead and dive right in. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little bit. I did do a little prep work on my bottle. So I went ahead and I painted some green lines on my bottle. These are the same green lines that are underneath the flowers on this one. I figured just speed this up for you a little bit. So I just used 3 different shades of green. I actually used just this shade and I added a little bit of this teal color to one and a little bit of this yellow to another. So you could use white, make one lighter, make one darker. That's up to you. Obviously my bottles are a little bit different. This one's got some texture here and I didn't think it would cover very well. This one was nice and smooth the whole way around. So I'm going to show you how to make some of the basic shapes I used on the blue one so that you too can do this. I promise they're basic shapes. You can totally make this. So I have a wonderful paintbrush that is round. I love my round paintbrushes because they're so easy to use. So I'm going to start with my round paintbrush and I'm going to get some paint here and I'm going to make some of these pretty blue ones and those purple ones. They're done the same way. We're going to use 3 different shades of purple. So, and by that I'm actually using, I already have a plate. I'm going to use this darker purple here, and I'm going to use this periwinkle, and then I'm going to end up mixing just a tad of the periwinkle in with some white to make my 3rd shade. But we're going to start with the bottom coat. See if I can get any of the paint out. We're going to start with the bottom coat first. And we're going to start with the bottom coat of my blue ones, which is this darker blue here. Because that way we can do both of them at the same time. And it gives them a little time to dry while we do this. So round paintbrush. If you do not have a round paintbrush, you can use a Q-tip. And we are just gonna, I'm gonna start on the corner here. And I'm just gonna make some dots. And they don't have to be perfect. It's kind of the great thing when you're doing something and you want it to look flower-like. Does not have to be in any way, shape, or form perfect. And I'm just gonna kind of dot. You can overlap some. We want this to look, like I said, a little more realistic. Like these are actually flowers. And what's going to really make it look flowery is when we add in the other colors and give it a more dimensional look. And that's how we're going to do all of these. We're going to do a base color and then we're going to add in a color or two and it's going to give it a nice dimension to it. So as you can see, I've just gone ahead and made some dots. I'm going to do some on this front panel here. Pick a spot. And I'm going to do some on the back panel as well. Now if I were working on a round bottle like my blue one, I would just go ahead and just keep turning and space them out randomly. If you have some overlap of your flowers, that's great. Flowers do not maintain social distance. So I've gone ahead and I've got one corner and I've got one on the front and one on the back. I'm going to go ahead and, here's my water. I'm going to go ahead and rinse my paintbrush. And I'm going to pick up a little bit of that dark blue for my other set. And let's see, I'm going to put them, let me just make sure I get, I'm going to put them on the front and the back, but I'm going to leave my side panel. Because I've got about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 different kinds of flowers to show you, so I can do one on each corner. And you know, I just go with the flow with this one, so if you think it looks good or you think you have a negative empty space that you want to fill up, do what you think looks good. All right, so now we have our nice dotted flowers there, and I'm just going to set this here while I wash my brush and let it dry for a bit. The great thing about doing it in stages versus painting it all at one time is I can be like, okay, cool, I've got my dotted flowers. Let's move on to a different flower while those are drying. So the next flower, I'm going to grab a smaller brush. It's also a rounded brush, but it doesn't have to be. And I'm going to pick the base coat. Trying to think. Base coat of these ones. Trying to think what colors each of these are. It's very red. I'm going to pick the base coat. We're going to make it this one. We are going to make the little like rosette ones. Move that closer. We're going to make the little pink rosette ones. And again, it's going to be 3 colors. So I'm going to pick this. I'm going to have a little bit of this nice, really dark color. And then I'm going to mix, again, a little bit of it with white. So we're going to get our base color down. Please excuse the traffic outside. I turned off the elevator so you wouldn't hear it come down, but I can't do anything about the giant truck. Okay. Now the great thing about these ones, and I love making the rosettes, you're just painting wobbly circles. You know what? Wobbly circles are the only kind of circles I can paint. Isn't that great? So we're just painting wobbly circles, and I mean like really wobbly circles. Make them as wobbly as you can. It looks better that way. And then we're just gonna fill it in. So there's my wobbly circle. It doesn't even look like a circle. We failed circle class, but you know what? That is okay. We're not being graded for this. The good news is especially with this bottle, when I was working with that one, it was a little harder because everything was so much closer together. I kept running my hand through the paint of the other ones, but it's acrylic, so you can just wipe it off and do it again. But yeah, I kept running my hand right through, and I was like, seriously? I also ended up covered in paint. I was like, okay, so we're gonna pick an outfit today that we know can go through the washing machine because I'm gonna end up covered in paint yet again. We'll see. This is why they give kids little smocks. I need a smock. I need a child smock. I think I have one at home. Did I bring it? No. I have got wobbly circles. I'm gonna go ahead and paint some smaller wobbly circles over here. Now my purple's already kind of dry, so if I overlap with my purple, that's fine. I'm gonna paint some smaller ones. I'm gonna paint some smaller ones on the back. And what I really like about this bottle versus the blue one, I love the color of the blue bottle, but this one's gonna let me see the hummingbird food in it. Be like, oh hey, I need to clean it out, or hey, they're empty. Although if you get a bunch of hummingbirds visiting your feeder, you will know when it's empty. They are loud. My parents have, they've been feeding hummingbirds for years now. And they've got a group that comes back every year now. And it's funny to see the juveniles because they act like fighter pilots. And they buzz you and they'll go straight for your head and pull up at the last second. Oh man, they are crazy. And they fight. They fight each other like, man, I would not want to be a hummingbird. I'm just saying, not my choice. All right, so we've gone ahead and we've got our base coat for our little rosettes. The next ones I'm gonna do are these really cute dangly ones, the ones with the yellow. So I'm gonna do a base coat. Now I did a lighter color base coat for those ones. Everything else I've done a darker base coat. I'm doing this like fun metallic lighter base coat, and then I'm gonna go in with some darker purple. I think it's this one here is what I used. And then outline, and then I'm gonna go in with yellow to make the little bulbs, and then I actually do lighten it a hair and go in and paint some lines to give it a little texture. So we're gonna go ahead and use this. So we've painted small dotted circles and wobbly circles. This is the only one that's gonna be a real different shape. Everything else is circles. Because you too can paint wobbly. I didn't get it on my shirt. I told y'all I was gonna. This one just doesn't want to come out. It's okay, I brought a tool for this. Cricut wheedling tools, not just for the Cricut. I knew some of my paint is a little temperamental. Now we have to take the cap off. Today's video, watch Carissa struggle to get a cap off. I love metallic paints. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I just love metallic. It's okay. Everything I'm wearing today is machine washable. I am machine washable. Try to wipe off some of it so I don't spread it around. Okay, so I'm gonna grab, I like using, where is it? I like using this tiny round brush because I find it's, the bristles on it are super stiff. I like having that little bit of extra control. And I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna dip it in the paint, and we are making teardrop shapes. We're just making teardrops. And we want the point of our teardrop facing down. So let me, just like that. We're just making teardrops. That's it. So we've done small dotted circles, wobbly bigger circles, and teardrops. I've also decided that wine and liquor stores need to have a special where, like, if you drop off a bottle, you get like $1 off your next purchase, so that those of us who need bottles for crafting can go in and pick up empty bottles and pay like $2 or $3 for them and be like, yeah, cool, look, I got a bottle now. Had to ask around and be like, do you guys have an empty bottle that I could have? I need them for crafting. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've got my row of teardrops. I'm gonna go ahead and do some teardrops on my side panel. Now these ones obviously are gonna be smaller because I have a much smaller space to fill. Okay, so I've got my sides and I've done both of the panels on the front and the back. I'm gonna rinse and we're gonna do the last flower. Now the last flower is this one here with the yellow. It kind of to me looks like a pansy. I fell in love with it because I thought it looked like pansy. I'm gonna use, maybe if this is not too runny. It is not. All right, I am gonna use, this one's a little brighter than the dark purple I used for that first row of purples. And then I am gonna I'm gonna lighten it a little bit, and then I'm gonna use this dark red here, I think. But we're gonna do this first, and I'm using my small, so every other one we've done our big dots, we've done our big dots, we've got our pink wobbly circles, we've got our purpley teardrops. I'm gonna use a smaller paintbrush, or actually we'll use the big paintbrush for the side. But we're gonna take this brighter purple and we're gonna just make one big dot. Now we're gonna, does not want to cover. Very good. You know what, I might need to use a different paint because that one just doesn't want to cover. Let me use this one. Now I'm not actually using any special like glass paint. If you have it, great. If you don't, that's fine. That's why I have the other stuff. Okay, so this is gonna cover better. I'm just making a fairly decent circle. Yet again, you can use a Q-tip for this. In the center, down below, because I really just like these ones. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've done just a row of darker purple circles, and I'm gonna do those on here. I'm gonna make them a little smaller and not quite as clumped together as my blue and my purple. We're gonna give them some space just because they tend to overlap a bit when we do them, and we want to give them enough space to be able to do that. All right, so by the time you have all of these done, we got all the base coats of all of them, we've drawn all of our wonderful base circles, we can go back in and start laying down the next set of our middle coats for our blues and our purples that we did that were all bunched together. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use this teal color for my blue, and I'm going to use this periwinkle for the purple side. And we're going to go in and I'm going to do it, I'm going to try to make it about the same size as the other one. And you're just going to make more dots. And we're not going right over top of the ones that are already there, just kind of layering a bit. Okay, so as you can see, I've got now a layer of brighter blue on top of my other blue. I kind of offset some of the circles so you can still see that first layer. And I'm going to do the same with this periwinkle on the purple. And really, you're just going to do it until you're like, hey, you know what? I think that looks like a good flower. So we are not making perfect flowers. We're giving the impression of a flower. Because you know what? The hummingbirds aren't going to care. They're going to appreciate the food and the effort you put in. and they're gonna yell at you when the food is empty. So while I'm finishing dotting this, we're gonna talk about hummingbird feeders. So you do need to clean your hummingbird feeder about once a week. We don't want mold growing in. That is disastrous for the poor hummingbirds. We would hate to make them sick while we're feeding them. Do not clean with soap and water. That can damage a hummingbird. A good thing to use to clean it, lemon juice. Lemon juice will help clean out that bottle, but not be toxic to the poor hummingbirds who we are feeding and do not wish to unintentionally poison. Okay, so I've gone ahead, we've got our nice second color of purple. We're gonna move on and do our next layer on our little rosettes, which is gonna be this darker color here. Actually, you know what, I might use this red, this brighter red, just for a little difference. And I am gonna use this brush here. And we are just gonna draw some lines. And we're just drawing lines where you think. I like to draw curved lines. We're just drawing some curved lines in that wobbly circle. Your lines are also gonna be wobbly. That's fine. Okay, so we've gone ahead and we've painted all of our wobbly lines. I do need to now go in with my larger paintbrush and refill that circle that I took off with my wrist. The news is it didn't really smear it, it just picked right up with my hand. Okay, so we've gone ahead and done both of those. We're gonna move on. So the next one we did was our wonderful teardrops. We're actually gonna do yellow first. Now these yellow, what we're gonna do is we're gonna just do, we're gonna do a dot and a dot. We're just making 2 dots underneath, and then with a pencil, or I like to use this paintbrush because it is slanted, we're gonna take a little bit of yellow on the tip and we are going to draw up and make it touch our purple flower. If it goes over, that's fine. So I just drew up and made it touch the purple flower. This is where having a Q-tip comes in handy because we're just looking for small dots. Those are almost right up. Okay. So I'm going to start in on my white. And we're going to use it a fair amount. That's not the one I used. This is the one I used. And I'm going to scrape up some of this purple paint. Probably get some more. Get a little more. And I'm going to make just a lighter shade of this. It's a little dark. There we go. So those last purple circles that we did, just the large rounded ones, I'm going to take my bigger round brush again, try to make sure it's as dry as I can get it. And I'm going to take a dot of the purple, the light purple, and I am just going to offset it towards the bottom. So we are taking it, we are offsetting towards the bottom. So you can see there that second one. We've just offset it slightly on top of the other circle, but towards the bottom. So we're just overlapping it, going down. This is gonna create kind of that pansy look that we're going for with this one. I'm gonna avoid that last one because that's one of the ones I just repainted because I put my hand in it. And then I'm gonna do that on the front and back panels. We're just gonna offset it towards the bottom, just overlapping it. I'm gonna wait because I know those other ones are not dry. Also know I stuck my hand in some yellow. So we're just gonna fix that up. Also apparently stuck my hand in my periwinkle. That's bad. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna mix up my top coat for my purple cluster that we did in the beginning, the purple and that blue cluster. I'm going to just use a little bit of white. There's my scooping paintbrush. So I'm gonna mix that white with my I'll mix it with a little bit of the periwinkle for the purple. And we just want it real light colored. We just don't want it white. We want it very light, but we don't want it quite as a white. And I'm going to do the same with my teal. I'm going to mix it just so that it's not white. Okay. And you can see I've got them so they're just not quite white, but I didn't go super dark on them either. So I'm going to take my, I've already paint on. Did you make that so that it doesn't have, I'm going to take my light purple, and this is going to be our last set of dots. Do it on the bigger one. See, this is all just dots, some wobbly lines, handful of teardrops. It's all stuff you can do. And you just do it until you think it looks good. I'm gonna rinse off, and we're gonna do the same thing with the blue ones. Just gives it a nice dimension, gives a little more shape, helps it look a little fuller. All right, so we're gonna move on to our little rosettes. Set that there. So we've gone ahead and we've done our red color and our pink color. We're gonna go ahead and do a brighter pink color. Yet again, we're gonna pull out our bottle of white. And we're gonna mix up with that first pink color. And I'm just gonna make it a really light pink. I think I want it even a little lighter than that. Yeah, there we go. And we are just gonna grab a little line brush and we're gonna make some more lines. These lines are gonna go ahead and we're gonna overlap some of them with the ones we've already drawn. But again, they're gonna be really wobbly, and that's what we're looking for. Wobbly lines are fine. We like wobbly lines. We just want it so that we can see a little bit of all three colors on each one. And we've got all three colors there on each one. I'm gonna go ahead and do this on both sides. And this can be done obviously in any color, any combination of colors. Maybe you're like, Krista, I really just want to do all blues. Great, do it in blues. There's blue flowers. Maybe you're like, I like oranges. Orange is the color for me. Let's go ahead and do it on this side. I will say, working with like different brands of paint, for some reason, those first set of like clustered purple flowers that I did, they dry so fast. Like, I'm not even kidding, they're so fast. And then I've got this like awesome other purple that's taking like years to dry. It's okay. All right, so our rosettes are done and our cluster flowers are done. We're gonna move on to our teardrop shaped flowers that we went ahead and painted the yellow on. And I'm gonna use this darker red color. And I am just, not with that one. I am just gonna outline it in this darker red color. That's all we're doing. Just outlining the teardrop over top of the yellow with this darker color. So that it looks like the yellow is coming from inside the flower. Okay, so I've gone ahead, I've outlined all of those in that darker color. We're gonna move on to our last flower that we did. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna use this same darker red color. And I'm just going to put a dot of it in between the two colors. I'm going to go ahead and do it, and then I'll show you what I mean on the bigger flowers. So I am just putting a dot of it here. I'll do a couple of them so you can see. Okay, see how I put it in between the two colors? We're just doing it in between. And then once that dries, we'll add our yellow. All right. Let me set that down. And then our final step is those same the teardrop flowers that we did our light purple, we did a darker around it, we did our little yellow. I'm gonna mix up an even lighter shade of purple. I'm gonna just mix a little more white with this. And I'm gonna mix in a little bit of that metallic. And that is going to be what we're going to layer on top of those teardrops. And I'm just going to paint some lines just coming down from the top. Do about 3 lines. I'm not covering the darker color that we painted. I'm painting inside on the background color. I'll do this set and show you. Okay. You can see I've got some lighter colored lines on the centers of those. Alright, so we've gone ahead and done that. That's finished. Our last flower is the very last one we did, where we just put our darker color on top, that bottom flower there. We are painting 2 little V's, or just 1 V. We're painting a V. I know you can all paint a V. In the middle of the 3rd color we used on that. So even if you didn't do red, whatever your 3rd color is, the one that went in the center. So on my blue bottle here, and it might be kind of hard to tell, it's easier to tell at the base here, I've added some sparkles. I painted them on. I wanted to give it more of like a fairy garden kind of feel. So I have some gold. Now I just did gold on that one. I'm going to do some silver on this one too. Just some gold and silver. And we're just going to make X's and dots. That's it. And then we're going to let this dry. And then we're going to coat it in Mod Podge. So I'm going to show you how to do these, and then I'm going to let you go. And I will be back once it has dried and I've gone ahead and coated it in Mod Podge. Again, I'm using my pointy paintbrush just to draw the X's on and to do the dots. You could use, yet again, your wonderful Q-tip or a pencil. But I've just gone ahead, we're just drawing some X's on. You can see the one under the little rosette's a little easier. And that's it. You're just gonna draw some X's on. You're gonna let that dry, make sure everything is completely dry, and then we're gonna coat it. I put a nice layer of Mod Podge on, and once the Mod Podge is dry, we're gonna spray it with the spray enamel. I'd suggest spraying it outside. So once you've let it completely dry with the acrylic, put the Mod Podge on, put the spray enamel on, I'll meet you back here. Hi guys, okay, so we've got our bottle, we've gone ahead, we've covered it in Mod Podge, we've used the enamel spray paint. Next we're gonna do is we're gonna take our wire. I've gone ahead and cut a small piece of wire that I rolled both ends into a spiral, and then I rolled around the bottle here. I'm going to then take another longer piece of wire that I've rolled one end. It doesn't have to be a fancy roll. And I'm gonna put it down underneath this first wire, if I can get it under. Yep. And I'm gonna push that wire back up. I'm gonna have it come up. I'm gonna have it go over. And I'm gonna have it go down the other side. And I'm gonna take the end that I haven't rolled yet, and I'm gonna push it through underneath that wire that I put at the bottom there. Go straight through. Don't twist it like I did. Go straight through it. Because we want it to be kind of taut. There we go. So that we've got a nice line. And then I'm going to fold that. I'm going to cut it and spiral it. I'm just going to squish my spiral. It's nice and together. So we've got one loop that goes around. And then we're going to take some more wire. And I'm going to wrap it the other way. And when I did the circle bottle, I just started at the top and wrapped it all the way down and twisted it at the top. The square bottle's a little different just because it doesn't wrap as well right around. It doesn't stay close to the sides. You're just gonna wrap this so that the bottle stays nice and tight. I'm going to go ahead and roll the ends of this one. And get my pliers out. Now this one I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to wrap it around the neck of the bottle, just like I did with that first little piece. Doing that first little piece helped me get it so that it was nice and straight on that first piece. I'm going to go up, I'm going to go under, try to pull it pretty taut. I'm going to loop it once so that it's nice and stuck up at the top here. And again, we're going to pull it as taut as we can. And then I'm going to come back down. And I'm going to wrap it under these wires here. It goes under as many of them as you can just to get it nice and so that it's going to stay. Taped on myself. Alright, I'm going to fold it up. I'm going to cut off some of this extra wire and play with it. I mean, like I said, I did the blue bottle one way, but wrapping it that direction and the way that I wrapped it on the blue bottle just wasn't working for this one. So you're gonna have to play with it a bit just to make sure you get for the right fit and shape of your bottle. So I've gone ahead and I've got it up here at the top. We've got a nice little crosshairs, and I'm gonna take some wire here and I'm going to hold it. I'm gonna hold it with my pliers and I'm just gonna turn it. If I actually hold it with my pliers, I will turn it so that I make a nice loop. I'm going to give myself some extra tail on my loop so that I can fold that over those crosshairs on the square bottle. I found wrapping the just circular bottle a lot easier than wrapping the square bottle. Just so you guys know, I was able to just kind of wrap the circular bottle without too much trouble. This square one was giving me more fits just because I couldn't get it, because of the sides, I couldn't get it as tight of a wrap to keep the wire on. Alright, and I just folded it, so we've got it, it hangs nicely, and then you're just going to take your hummingbird feeder stopper, and there we have a nice pretty glass hummingbird feeder. So I hope you guys enjoy, and I hope you guys' turn out as well as mine did.